Hey everyone, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by
Nerdarchy's Dave.
And today we're going to illuminate some deep magic with Illumination Magic. Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
And of course, as usual, you can find the link to Deep Magic, Illumination Magic down in the description below as well. Check it out over on Drive-Thru RPG.
All right, so as Dave says, Illumination Magic, this, talks about illumination and the shadows that it creates. So you kind of have I create light and there's the absence of light, all linked into this one concept. And with that, you wind up getting.
Well, let's start with the designer. We got Greg Marks, who is our designer for this one. So we can thank him for putting this together.
So you get a new wizard subclass. Obviously, Illumination Magic is your school. You get 1 feat, you get 1 NPC, and 21 new spells. 2 of which are rituals, 4 of which are new cantrips.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool getting a bunch of new cantrips and throwing in the mix.
I agree as well. Having those things that scale and become a staple of a character are pretty darn cool, and to have that lumped into these cool concepts, I thought was a nice addition.
So I want to say I actually going into the wizard tradition, school elimination. Thematically, I like it. Mechanically, I don't. It's got a couple of huge problems.
What do you see as the problems?
A lot of the abilities are reliant on seeing the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're playing a game in a place where there is no sky to see, you're going to get boned over and over again, and you're going to be penalized. Thematically, you're cool, but that is a hard pill to swallow. And also, a lot of the spells, that part isn't even relevant, so it's really just penalizing this tradition. You're much better off just taking spells from the tradition and not worrying about the abilities you get. Some of them are kind of cool, but if you don't have access to them all the time, it's going to be kind of lame.
I looked at that as a detriment, and therefore I considered this thing underpowered. Because what happens if you're underground or you're in some kind of dungeon? What happens if there's cloud cover? What happens if something happens and I can't see the sky? These abilities just aren't going to work for me.
Not only that, it references Descendants of the Underdark liking this kind of magic. And I'm like, well, they might like this kind of magic, and they may cast these spells, and they may even take that feat.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to be using this tradition unless they make a pilgrimage up to the world above every night.
Every night, yeah. So that part I think is kind of a deficit. For the price that you get, getting access to the cool NPC, the feat, and the spells, I think is worth the cost. But I probably would not play this as a class.
It makes a far better NPC than it does a player character. So as an NPC, it doesn't really matter. It's just role playing and fluff. As a player character, this is going to affect the character, often. So it becomes problematic. That is my biggest beef with this deep magic.
So now we do get. An Illuminator, which is how I guess they refer to those who get into this particular school of magic. And you get a high elf, which I look at the picture and personally I was seeing tiefling.
Oh yeah.
But it is what it is.
And that might be a headdress.
It's got to be, unless this particular one went through some kind of bizarre transformation.
The art is really good. In all of these, the art has been really good, and this one is no exception. It's got decent art, and the character that Ted's talking about it's a really cool image, and I can see how that looks like she's got these giant horns, but I think it's actually a helm she's wearing, and she has things that are coming off of her that could be at first glance it could be mistaken as possibly a tail, but I think they're actually part of her cloak, part of her clothing.
Yes. Talathe Valshiar, however you want to pronounce this NPC's name. It's a 9th level spellcaster, so it's got a handful of different spells that it has access to. It can ignore necrotic resistance because of the star and shadow casting. Has advantage on initiative checks because the Omen of Warning. These are things that are class abilities that get wrapped up into the monster stat or the NPC stat, however you want to look at it. And it's a pretty cool character to be able to put out there, and you can drop her right into a game as an NPC that the players meet, or you can totally let's turn this into an adversary because what the party is doing is working against her agenda. So I like when they incorporate an NPC to work with.
So let's jump backwards now.
Yep, absolutely.
And go back to the School of Illumination. As always, you get the Illumination Savant, which just means it's easier and cheaper for you to learn spells from the School of Illumination. Then you get Omen of Warning.
So before we get into Omen of Warning, typically the player's handbook savants, they're referencing a school of magic, and so far none of the deep magics have said these are the spells contained within count as your discount, because all of them are not linked to Illumination as your school. They're still linked to Conjuration, Evocation, Necromancy, and
I just take them all. They're all Illumination spells, or they're all battle magic spells, or
so But to me, as a reader, I want that spelled out because I know there's DMs out there. It's like, oh well, I don't see any spells that say School of Illumination.
Right, but it doesn't say school though. It says Illumination spells. So I guess that's the difference. And I guess the problem too is then could some of the other school spells fall into this category? So it's up for debate.
And that's the crux. I don't want a class ability to be up for debate. I want it to be spelled out specifically. So it's if you look at page 5, it says Illumination spell list and then says new spells. So maybe that's what they're referring to. I don't know.
Well, clearly it is, Ted. Omen of Warning is their second level ability they get. And it's not bad. Twice a day, you can use advantage on initiative checks. It doesn't have to be you. You can give it to someone else. You can't use it in the same combat. So you can only can be used once per combat. It's not a bad ability. It's not super powerful in my opinion. You have to declare that you want to use it before you roll.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not even matter.
But this is one of those things that you have to do an hour-long stargaze at night in order to be able to access this power. So that's an hour-long ritual that you would do every night, and maybe that's something that you don't have a problem with. Maybe your campaign world is going to completely allow that. But I think there's times that you're not going to be able to be at night to see the stars, or at night you're not going to be able to see the stars, which means you might wind up losing this ability for the next 24 hours.
So the next thing to get at 6th level is Master of Endless Night. This is pretty decent because it gives you a +1 to your DC or your attacks with your cantrips, but they have to be in dim light or darkness. So, and it's only cantrips.
So if you're going to use darkness spells and that kind of stuff, well then hey, this is a really, really cool feature, but if you're attacking in broad daylight,
and you also will need to be able to see as well. So I mean, the Warlock Invocation lets you see in darkness. Even magical would be really cool for this. The next one is Illusions of Permanence, beginning at 10th level. Illusions cast by you that require concentration last for 1 round after you lose concentration.
Yeah,
or stop concentrating.
Right, as long as it's not already up to the maximum duration for the spell. So it's kind of cool to be all right, well, I want to start using this spell, but now I can overlap
for a round.
For a round, yeah. But I mean that's still pretty nice.
So it mildly lets you break the concentration rule. It's not bad. It's okay. And then starting at 14th level comprehension of the starry sky. Starting at 14th level during a long rest, you can consult the stars and comprehend some meaning. In the cosmic event, the stars must be visible for you to use this ability. The insight you gather stored as a small reservoir of magic inside an item that has meaning to you. So a star chart, astrolabe is commonly used, but any item that you held in your hand will suffice. When you use this item in your hand, you can consume stored magic as a bonus action to invoke one of the following effects. The insight is expended by one use, and if it's lost if you haven't used it within 24 hours. So this one might be cooler if it lasted until you used it, but you can only have one at a time.
Right.
It would make it way better. But still, like, it's kind of cool. There's 4 different abilities.
You got Comet, Conjunction, Eclipse, and Nova. Comets are the harbingers of change and instability. So you basically get to cast Alter Self, and you take that guise until you start your next long rest,
And it doesn't require concentration.
which is nice. You get Conjunction, which planetary conjunctions destabilize minds and emotions. You can give one creature you can see disadvantage on a saving throw against one enchantment or illusion spell that you cast. So pretty nice there.
Eclipse plunges the world into darkness and strengthens connection to the shadow plane. When you cast a spell 5th level or lower that has necrotic damage, you can re-roll a number of damage dice up to your intelligence modifier. Minimum of 1. You must use the new rolls. Yeah, that's a common mechanic. And then Nova, this is a powerful aid to divination spells. You can treat one divination spell you cast as though you had used a spell slot level 1 level higher than the slot actually used. 10th level spell.
Rah! So that can be pretty cool in and of itself. Is to just I'm gonna bump it up for free. So maybe if you really want to go with the divination angle of what this character does, like that could be like your shtick. So I do like that aspect of it, but again, like your 14th level and your 2nd level ability are really truly relying on being able to see the stars every night. And if you can't do that, you're losing 2 of your abilities, and they're pretty major.
Barring that, or if you were to just tweak it in your game and be like, I'm going to get rid of this restriction, then I'd say it's great. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to play it in my game, I would just be like, okay, we're just going to get rid of this one restriction, and we'll do it that way.
Right. So the feat you get is Star and Shadow Reader. You have to have at least a prerequisite of at least be able to cast one spell. By tracking the movements of the heavens, you gain the following benefits. When you gain this feat, choose either Radiant or Necrotic. Spells you cast ignore resistance. You can cast Augury once between each of your long rests without expending a spell slot, and you gain dark vision of 15 feet. If you already have it, increase it by 15 feet.
They actually earlier in the PDF talk about those that use this magic often are almost like elementalists, but for radiant and necrotic energies instead.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good feat. Definitely one I wouldn't mind taking for one of my characters if I had a certain theme I wanted to go with. Extra spell casting once a day is great. Dark, some dark vision, not too shabby. And if you're using radiant or necrotic, attacks, being able to bypass resistance is nice.
Absolutely. So any favored spells that you saw that you enjoyed in here?
Blackwell here. That's it. You summon a seething sphere of dark energy 5 feet in diameter. The sphere pulls a creature toward it and devours the life force of those it envelops. Every creature other than you that starts its turn within 90 feet of the Blackwell makes a successful strength saving throw or be pulled 50 feet towards the well. A creature pulled into the well takes 6d8 necrotic damage and is stunned. A successful constitution saving throw halves the damage and reduces the stun to incapacitated. A creature that starts its turn inside of the well also has to make a constitution saving throw. The creature is stunned on a failure and incapacitated on a successful. Incapacitated creatures that leaves will recover immediately, so they can kind of like crawl out or whatever. And you can bump it up to do even more damage. But thematically, I like the idea, the visual of them being like drug into this black well.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. It's got a decent range. It's 300 feet because you don't want to be casting that anywhere near your allies because they can get sucked in as well. Only you're protected from it. So I thought that one was a cool spell. I liked Shadow Trove as well. I'm a big fan of the ritual feats or the ritual spells, as you may or may not know. But this one allows you to create this little extra planar area for an hour, and only you or those creatures you designate can get stuff out of it, and it can hold like 750 pounds worth of stuff. So it's a little bit more powerful than your Tensor's floating disc.
Another one I found kind of cool was Slither. It's a second level spell. You basically turn yourself into shadow, so you can go like through underdoors, through keyholes, and if you use higher level slots, you can bring some of your companions with you and have them do the same thing.
So that one was cool. The only problem is if the spell ends and you're in a space that you don't fit,
Yeah,
you're taking some serious force damage and shoved 50 feet, close to an area to get out. If you're still stuck for every so many feet, I think it's 10 that you have to travel, you're taking another D8 damage.
Last rays of the dying sun is kind of fun too, and that's like just whoosh out from you radiating out from you in a 40-foot circle. It just does cold damage, or it does fire damage, and then it does cold damage. 6d6 of each, so a total of 12d6. You have to make 2 saving throws, and it's just like the visual is cool to me. The ripple of the fire, and then the cold. Yeah. It's supposed to, I guess, be like a dying sun, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought that one was pretty neat. And as we mentioned, I thought the cantrips were a pretty nice addition. Being able to throw some radiant and necrotic damage as cantrips is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, Starfall is another one. Kind of reminds me of Steel Wind Strike. Up to 5 creatures, you can they are going to be attacked by basically stars that strike them from the sky. They take 8d6 radiant damage, and if they fail their save, they're going to be knocked prone, as well as blinding. Can possibly be blinded as well. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, just like Steel Wind Strike, if you wind up like not having enough targets, the extra meteor just hits the ground harmlessly.
Yeah. So there's definitely some cool things in here. Shield of Star and Shadow. This one I thought was actually a little underpowered because it gives you resistance, and you have to cast it as action. The only thing that made it better is you get resistance as a radiant or necrotic. It's a 3rd level spell, and it lasts 10 minutes. I was like, it seems like a high level spell for what it does. But then the saving grace is it is not a concentration spell. Right. And if you're going to be fighting a lot of undead or heavenly creatures, I guess, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to put this on and have resistance to that type of damage.
Absolutely. So what do you guys think? Do you dig the School of Illumination? Have you checked it out and are playing it? Let us know what your thoughts and comments down below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can go check us out at Nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.